G'day, this is Russell Robertson, and you're listening to my interview with Elaine Goodman on gogoodman.com.au.
Welcome back to the Elaine Gogoodman Show here on 88.3 Southern FM. It's 6 minutes to 3, and in the studio we have a Melbourne Football Club, I want to say legend, but whether he's comfortable with that, I don't know. He should be.
I'm comfortable with that.
220-odd games, 428 goals, and lived most of that above people's shoulders. So welcome to the studio, Mr. Russell Robertson. Hang on, we have a round of applause. I used it, so we can use it again. We have a round of applause, but yeah, say hi. Hi, Russell. How you going, Robbo?
Hi, yeah,
Robbo.
Right. Yeah, here it is. Thank you.
There we go. Look, they're all out there.
Crowd, very slow.
So, how did you find the place okay?
You look, it's so easy for me because it's just down the road.
Is it really?
Yeah. Look, I've lived in Bayside, Morris, Blackrock, since I moved over to Melbourne, really. So I loved the place as soon as I stepped into it. I wanted it. It's very much like Tasmania, where I'm from. So that's...
Don't say that.
Yeah. No, it's terrible, isn't it? No, it's, seaside. I grew up in a seaside town, tiny little town down in Tasmania. There's not a lot of people there. That's the difference between there and here. There's a lot of people here, but it's leafy, it's nice, it's quiet, and it's just sectioned off from Melbourne, the city, I think, because it's just a little askew. No one really comes in here unless they have to. So I love Blackrock. I love Beaumaris.
Right, so let's get into the interview because we've got a lot of things to get through, and Ashley might have some questions. I've got one or two fan questions online as well, and we've got a lot to get through. And you brought a guitar as well, so you've obviously got some songs planned.
Yep. So
obviously you're well known for your footy career. Do you remember when a career in football became a realistic option?
I do. It wasn't until I actually did get drafted that it was realised, obviously. But for me, there was always out there. It was. I didn't go to the draft camp, so I wasn't expecting to get picked up in the AFL. I played in the Tassie Mariners, which is the state side down there, and I was doing okay. I kicked a lot of goals that season. There was talks in circles, and it wasn't until I actually took a couple of marks that year that were put on the Almost Football Legends segment of the Footy Show. Everyone knows the Footy Show, Channel 9's stalwart. I was sitting back one night, as I did, watching the Footy Show back then. This is, 17, 18 years ago. This is a long time ago.
Still fresh?
Yeah, still fresh in the mind. I can still remember the feeling because, living in Tasmania, growing up in a small town, being on TV was so far off. All of a sudden, these two marks that I took were all of a sudden on the Footy Show.
Two of them in the one
Well, it wasn't the same match. It was in the same segment, though. So they're 3 weeks apart, these two marks. And I must admit, they will go down as my best marks that I ever took. And I obviously made the AFL, took a few in league. But down in Tasmania, when I was probably 20 kilos lighter, I could jump a little higher.
Did you win the calf for best mark of that year?
Yeah,
on the Footy Show, yeah?
So I stood up right in the lounge room. I was like, that was me. Who sent those in, And it was all go from there. Melbourne sent down a couple of recruiters and spoke to me, and they found out I'd kicked 50-odd goals for the Tassie Mariners that year. And Melbourne were going through a really bad patch, much like over the last 5 years at that stage. Gary Lyon was bad back and a lot of injuries. Neil Baum had really suffered the cruelty of injuries in those years, and they picked me up as an off chance, and then maybe I could turn into something, and it sort of worked out.
Yeah, sort of.
Sort of worked out.
Where's the car now?
No, I don't know, actually, because the guys that sent the video in, they won it.
Right, you didn't win it.
I got nothing.
You don't even know who sent it in?
No, well, I do know. Know now, but I'm not dirty in any way, shape or form because I got the...
you got the career.
I got the career out of it. 18 years ago on, here I am.
on the Elaine Gogoodman Show, yeah.
I really have made it.
Thank you, Robbo.
No.
Growing up in Tasmania, was there as much of an emphasis on football in the 80s and 90s as there is today? I mean, from the local perspective as well as from the AFL perspective?
Football in Tasmania is huge and always has been. A lot of talent came out of Tasmania in the 70s, 60s, 70s, even further back. But the difference back then in Tasmania, and I'm not so sure how it was in South Australia and Perth, I'm sure it probably was the same, is that there was a real feeling amongst the controlling league bodies that good players need to stay here and make this competition good. So there was a fellow by the name of Gale, Brendan and Michael Gale's dad, who I know is only as Butch, Don Gale his name was. Butch and Schmacker were his sons, Michael and Brendan. Obviously, we know they went on to play for Richmond and they were really quality players, but the old man apparently was just something else, the best in Tasmania. It's one of those folklore, legends. But Tasmania wouldn't allow him to go over to Melbourne to play because they wanted to keep the talent in-house. So there's a few stories of that down in Tasmania, players not actually going making it into the VFL as it was back then, but staying within the Tasmanian ranks. But it's always been strong. It's always been a great place to be nurtured as a footballer. So, and the talent came out. I mean, we're talking Baldock, Lawrence and
Brad Green,
Hudson, and Brady Green. And there's some really good players come. Matty Richardson coming out of Tasmania. That we're very small, but per capita, we would definitely be. I think maybe the Victorians would win, but we'd be very, very close to it.
Did you always have a good jump on you?
Yeah, I did. And it came from a place, and I'll tell you the story. I had big legs and a sizable sort of waistline, so that was muscular as a kid, but I had, long limbs and I was very lanky, so the rest had to catch up. But I was always sort of jumping around, trampoline. I'm going to attribute this ability to take high marks to my trampoline. I was always on it. I was always doing stupid things on it, jumping out of trees, onto the trampoline, doing front flips and landing on the grass, really challenging myself and threatening the ambulance drivers and hospitals in the area that I'm coming for you.
Did you ever end up there?
No, I never. Well, I did, but not for the trampoline antics. And this was a really ordinary trampoline too, wasn't it? Right? Every now and then a spring would just zing off, not like the ones they got these days, which is, you need a science degree to put these things together these days. Back then it was those coil springs. You'd be bouncing
an in-ground one or like an above-ground one?
Above ground. Yeah. You'd be bouncing and zing, something would go past your face. It was one of the springs that would just come off, And you just keep bouncing and get on with it. But Dad had a friend who lived in Victoria and fell on hard times, and they came over to Tasmania to live with us for a while. Now, their boy, Don, also his name was, he and I would do markers up. Dad would kick the ball up and we'd just try to, compete for a mark, as all boys do.
Also known as Jack in the Pack?
Jack in the Pack, exactly right. And I just got flogged every time because he was 3 or 4 centimetres taller, older than me, 2 years older than me, so it was hard. So Dad identified that I could jump. So he said, listen, step a couple of steps off him and jump into his hips and try to take a hanger off him. So I nurtured that and kept doing that, and I'd find that I'd get higher than his hands, and that's where it came from. And we did some other things after that, like hanging a 4x2 off the shed with one of Mum's stockings. Got one of Mum's stockings, put a footy in it, rubber inner tube from my bike. We tied that to the 4x2. Now I just run up, grab it, bring it to the ground and let it go. And it just, bounce back up and stay there. So I just did that over and over. And you talk about Don Bradman hitting the stump against the corrugated iron water. That was my repetitious thing. And it got me so aware when I was in the air. Now, I always tell kids, and I'm rambling a bit because we're talking hangers here, and this is my favourite thing in the world. So.
I'm glad I brought it up.
I always tell young kids when they say, how do you become a good marker, taking speckies, and I want to be like Jeremy Howe, or, I want to be like Gary Ablett.
Russell Robertson.
Russell Robertson, yes, of course. I always tell them you need to get better at, learn how to, be aware of yourself in the air, but not worry about what's going to happen to you in the air. So the only focus is the ball. Once you've marked the ball, don't worry about how you're going to land because you'll probably drop the ball. If you land soft anyway, you're going to be okay. If you land hard, which is when you're starting to stress, that's when injuries happen. So your thought process in the air is not to worry about your body at all, how it's positioned. Just get up there and you'll be okay, I'm telling you. You never get hurt. And that's, I think, jumping on the trampoline and all those sorts of things, that taught me.
And putting it into match practice, was that a big step?
It definitely was. I mean, you have to have timing. You have to identify that the ball's, going to land there. It's going to be landing around about this time. I have to go a little bit earlier. So, just practicing obviously helps that when you actually get into a game. But it's the courage to go for it as well. And there are a couple of things with courage to go for your marks and courage to do things that you're good at. Your coach needs to be great. Your coach needs to identify what you're good at, and your coach needs to, he's very, very important in all of this, back you in for those sorts of things because he's drafted you in as this particular player. Now, if he's saying don't do what you do well anymore, then why the hell did he draft you in the first place? He's only just suppressing you. So Neil Danaher was my coach, and he was always saying, go for your marks. I know you're short. I know the guys around you are bigger than you, but if you're not playing to your one wood, which is going for your marks and taking hangers, then you're just not going to play well. So for the next 13 years, I was backed in to do those sorts of things. David Neitz didn't like it too much, and Gary Lyon, those guys, because my knees were always in their shoulders, and I knocked Neiter out a couple of times and poked his eye out because I was so exuberant. But, I had a ball.
We'll go one more question, and you did bring your guitar in, so we'll get you to play a song. We'll get you to play your first song for the day. Yep. You were drafted into the Melbourne Football Club in '97, just 3 years off, obviously, after a grand final appearance. What was your impression of the club back then? Were you glad to be drafted by the Melbourne Football Club?
Oh, look, to get drafted to anyone was just an amazing thing. And, look, I didn't have a lot of knowledge of the Melbourne Football Club because down in Tasmania it was either Carlton or Richmond, in my area. You had players playing within the team and that were from Tasmania, so I barracked for Carlton because my family did. But then, you learn that the Melbourne Football Club's the MCG and the history of the place, and you're going to be playing the MCG every week, and this is fantastic. So I was really happy to end up going to the Melbourne Football Club. And to stay at the Melbourne Football Club for my whole career has really held me in good stead now that I've retired, because I'm identified as being a Melbourne person. So look, it wasn't as if I was going to the sexiest club in the AFL, if you know what I mean, because obviously Collingwood and Hawthorn and Carlton were the teams that were winning the premierships. Geelong were playing in the grand finals, but they weren't winning, and Melbourne were on the bottom of the ladder. But I saw it as a challenge to make it into that side and hopefully get a career out of it.
And a career you did.
Career I did, yeah. Well, I think so. We all can be humble. We have to be humble, but
you don't have to be.
You don't have to be.
You're Russell Robertson, mate. You're a guy that's known by your nickname. That's a pretty good effort.
Yeah, that's very Australian, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, Robbo, what's on the cards?
Well, I'm just going to sing a song that I sing when I do gigs. Now, I write my own stuff as well, but that's I'm a private person when it comes to music. My own stuff. Bring that mic over here. We're on the fly here.
We can use that.
Yep. Bang, bang, bang on the mic. Sorry, guys.
For the vocals.
We're setting up here.
Yep.
I just muck around with what I love about music and songs is that you can change up well-known songs and play them along old and new songs. You'll find that new songs, they're all just a rip-off of all the old songs anyway. So I play, and I've got my little mini Maiden here.
Yeah,
Set the
that's a really small guitar.
It's a small one. It's a mini Maiden. This is Phil Sobrano gave me this. Kate Sobrano's brother, who at the moment
came runner-up in It Takes Two with.
I've
been doing my research.
You've done your homework. He gave me this guitar. He's got so many guitars, he didn't need it anymore.
He gave you the smallest one.
Very pleased with it because I'm a biggish kind of guy.
Oh, I do love the strap.
Yeah, the Fender strap. Yeah. I've got a couple of guitars, but this is my favourite to play because it is small and it's easy to manipulate when I'm doing my acoustic gig. So old songs become new songs very easily, and one of my favourite artists of all time is Billy Withers, great American artist back in the I'd say 50s and 60s, and we all know this song. And I'm only going to sing a little bit of it. I'm not singing too much today because I'm a footballer.
True.
Not supposed to be.
But you're multi-talented. You're a multi-talented footballer. There aren't many of them.
Yeah, exactly. And have you heard all this furor about Sam Smith, taking the Tom Petty song?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was a musical mistake and something that he didn't mean to do, but it's so easy to do because you can find anything. And you'd know this, you'd know some of this song that I'm about to start with. I should get down, good Lord. She got you pushing all over town. Strictly business, you don't play around. Gather much ground, got game by the pound. Getting played is a forte, each and every day. True play away, I can't get her out of my mind. I think about the girl all the time, yeah. East side to the west side, pushing flat right, it's a no surprise. She got tricks in the stash, passing up to get fast when it comes to the gas. And no means average, as long as she's got to have it. Girl, you're a perfect 10. I wanna get in, can I get down so I can? Like the way you work it, no diggity, got to bang it up. I like the way you work it, no diggity, no doubt. I like the way you work it, no diggity, got to bang it up. Not the way you work it. And then we throw a bit of Billy Withers in. Grandma's house, hunting touch on Sunday morning. Grandma's hands played a tambourine so well. Grandma's hands used to issue out a warning. She'd say, Billy, don't you run so fast. Fall on a piece of glass. Mopping snakes down there in that grass. My grandma's hands. She stole that line from... It's a line. See grandma's hands help the local unwed mother. Grandma's hands pick me up each time I fell. My grandma's hands used to lift her head and tell her, she'd say, Grandma understands that you really love that man. Put your trust in Jesus' hands. My grandma's hands. And we finish with, see, play on, play on, play on, play on. See, play on, play on, play on, play on. Play on, bro. Play on, play on, play on, play on. See, play on, play on, play on, play on. Yeah, man.
I was going to play the round of applause again. Good. It breaks up the interview. I'll turn our mics back on. It breaks up the interview a little bit. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different things we can throw in there.
Wow. That was dope, man.
Thanks, man.
I didn't see that coming.
Hey, Billy Withers, man.
There it is.
I tell you what, that crowd, they're
Yeah,
slow.
they're awesome.
Yeah.
They love you, man.
They're a bit delayed. They're from Tasmania.
Yeah. Nice. I like it.
I really need to get a ba-dum sound effect in for next time.
Work on that.
Hey, work on it, yeah. So, back to footy.
Yes, let's do it.
Back to footy. In 2000, Melbourne made the grand final, obviously losing to Essendon. But in that team, we had obviously you, Brad Green, Adam Muse, Jeff White, David Neitz, Travis Johnston, and Cameron Bruce, who didn't play in the grand final. He was injured, but he was on the team, also just starting out his career. Did that, in your opinion, did that core team, which we had for the next 10 or so years, did that core team live up to your expectations in hindsight?
Look, it's a really good question, and I'm glad you asked that because at the time I thought that it did live up to expectation. But now that I'm retired and I've had time to think about it,
Because most of them are 200 plus gamers.
Yeah.
All of them are. Yeah.
Really core group of players that came together and lasted for a while together, which is the recipe for success. But there's a lot of other ingredients in that that eventually can get you to a grand final. I want to talk about it. So the Melbourne Football Club at that time, and only just sort of changing over the last 2 years to a point now where we are actually financial. We made a profit last year where a lot of teams and like the wealthy Carlton Football Club made over $500,000 loss. You know, I mean, how does that happen with a team that, you know, you have so many members and business? Well, we made a profit. Can you get your head around that for a sec? You know, we only won 4 games or 3 games, and we've only won that many games in the 3 or 4 years prior. So how does a team that is struggling membership-wise, you know, playing out of the MCG, a stadium you can't commercialise because it's owned by the cricket club. Now, we do get a lot of kickbacks from the cricket club, I give you that, because we are a sporting section of theirs. We are one and the same. But we can't commercialise that stadium like maybe Port Adelaide or Adelaide and Geelong.
I also came in, got you in here to kind of sell the club to Ashley, so bring it back up.
I'm going to get you. Don't worry. I'm going to get you. So this club, the Melbourne Football Club, gets Peter Jackson on board and gets Paul Roos on board and gets some really good young players coming through. Jesse Hogan. This year you can see some good ones coming in with Petraka and Brayshaw, who are going to be absolute jets. Now, in 5 years' time, this club is going to be unstoppable. I can say that. One-eyed, of course, but these young kids, I mean, you've got to look at them and go, wow. Simon Goodwin's the incumbent coach, one of the greatest players the AFL's seen, 300-plus gamer. You've got Brendan McCartney, who was the Bulldogs coach, is this awesome teacher. Now, he's a coach's coach down at the Melbourne Football Club. We made a profit last year. Things are really going well. When I was going through Melbourne, it was a real battle financially. We were always going to our people for cash. Can you give us money? In and around about, you mentioned we played 2000 grand final. In and around about 2003, 4, 5, I reckon we were right there, right primed to win a premiership, on the premiership clock, as they call it. You know, you get round to 11 o'clock, you're ready to go. Right mix of players, age. David Neitz is one of the greatest players this football club's ever seen. He's our captain. Bruce, you know, all those names that you reeled off. But we weren't able to get there. Now, why? Well, we'd get to the top of the ladder.
Well, every second year.
Yeah, well, every second year, exactly. And then there was probably that 3 years where we did play continual finals. But you're right, 2001 we missed out. 2002 we were there.
That was kind of the Neil Danaher curse, if you want to put it that way.
It was. Now, I can give you a reason why I think, an educated reason, is because we went over to play Fremantle. I think it was 2005 when we were right there. Well, this is the year. We're on top of the ladder with probably about 5, 6 games to go. And then we mentally got stuffed up and we lost those games. And we had to win the last few games to actually even make it. Now, that's really disappointing that year for me because we lost to Fremantle over there in the finals. They should have been coming to Melbourne to play. We should have played them on the MCG because we should have won those last few games. Why did we lose it? Because we were behind the curve. Other teams were ahead of the curve in terms of money and the business of things. Fremantle, I know for a fact that they had nearly a coach per player. We had Neil Danaher, probably 2 assistant coaches, some fitness coaches and whatnot. We didn't have the money to throw into our football department that these other teams had. Now, maybe if we did have that cash, maybe we would have got better individually. The difference between good footballers and great footballers is, or AFL footballers in this case, are great footballers. Obviously, to get there, you've got to be great. We'll go to the next level. They'll get to a level, they'll go to the next level. That's what makes them good, with the right coaching, with the right assistance. I'm only going to get better by someone telling me how to do things. I'm going to hit my ceiling at some point with my ability. But maybe a good coach will tell me something, give me a little spark of knowledge that'll make me get better. And then all of a sudden I'm getting better. Well, we didn't have all those coaches to help us get better individually. Fremantle were probably getting 6, 7, 8 hours extra contact point per week with a coach to improve their game, physically, mentally, in front of the computer, learning the game, things like that.
Does that help when there's only 2 teams to choose from in the state as opposed to 10?
Well, yeah, and it just comes down to money. It's a dollars and cents thing, being able to put cash behind someone to come in and teach these young people things. Development academies, this is a buzzword around the AFL these days. That costs money. That's why Sydney Swans have got it, because they got money. The AFL gives it to them.
Calm down. You're turning bright red, Robbo.
But we just didn't.
You're turning bright red and you got the blue headphones on, so good colours.
Up now. Yeah, I could run out and play right now, I'll tell you. But, yeah, we just didn't have that facility to put behind our players at the time, and maybe that's why we actually didn't go all the way. Now, I can tell all the Melbourne supporters out there, and this fine gentleman right here, because he's going to be a Melbourne supporter from here on in, that the next 5 years is a really genuinely exciting time for our football club, because I know the inside, I know the business, I know what we've got coming up. These young kids that we've got now, along with Jesse Hogan out of Perth, who's really committed to this football club.
And a couple of extra veterans in Jeff Garlett and
Heritier Lumumba. Daniel Cross.
Yeah.
Bernie Vince comes from Adelaide. Nathan Jones won 3 premierships. 3 best and fairest. Dawsey from Collingwood. A really good older crew that need to be carried now by that middle-aged players and the excitement of the youth. It's a really good mix right now that I think is just going to be coming into its own. Look, we expect 9 games won this year to be knocking on the door of the 8, and over the next year or two, finals on into a premiership after that. So it's a good time to be a Melbourne supporter. I really do believe that.
On the other hand, I do love the Melbourne Football Club, but when you say it like that, we kind of had that when we had, Green, Bruce, Travis Johnston, Jeff White and yourself, and James McDonald, but there were rumours that they were forced, some of them were forced into retirement, and some of them retired off their own bat. Was that a good decision? Was that by the coach's staff?
I think
if you go back to then, in hindsight, can you make your own judgment?
In hindsight, history says bad decision, because an older player, what an older player does for a younger player is he teaches a young man how to live and be within a really high intense high pressure environment. So for me, and it was Liam Jarrah, right? It was the guy who was going to take over my spot. He took my number, of course. He asked for my number and I was happy to give it to him. Gun player. but the pressure of it all was too much for him. I would have loved to have been there next to him at full forward and say, look, I'll take Matty Scarlett. If we lose, I'm going to cop, the abuse from the supporters and the media because they know my name. You just go about your business, mate. You learn the game. Let me Gary Lyon did that for me. David Schwartz did that for me. David Neitz did it for me. I was lucky. I could run around and be an idiot and do what I wanted. But
jump on whoever you want.
That's right. But Liam Jarrett didn't get that. And so the pressure of the media, of the everyone wanting him to do well was all too much for him, and I can understand that. So to get rid of older players, in hindsight, they look at it now and go, well, it was probably a bad decision. If you're going to get rid of your old players, you best draft the best players.
Or put them straight into coaching.
Yeah, well, yeah, true. Or have them stay at the club, but we didn't.
Yeah.
We just, and look, bad moves were made, and I look at they're going to be the lost years for me because we can't really sort of. Everyone's going, well, whose fault was it? You're a Melbourne supporter, you're probably doing the same. Why did we do that? But right now, and I can only look.
All I can do is put it down to the 7 coaches we had in that time.
Yeah, well, exactly. And, the board and CEOs, and there's rumours of all sorts of things going on. And to be honest with you, I don't really know who or what, but I was shown the door as a 30-year-old. Pretty disappointed about that, and I'll always be disappointed about that. But I'm not dirty on the Melbourne Football Club in any way, shape or form, because the Melbourne Football Club is more than any one individual or any group of 10 or any team. It's 9 years of history that I was able to be a part of. The oldest football club in the world, the red and the blue. I mean, I'll always bleed red and blue and be in love with the Melbourne Football Club and want to be there. But that little period, that time, let's try not to remember it.
It makes me really happy that you say that, because now David Neitz, Cam Bruce, and Adam Moosey have all gone to Hawthorn. Please do not leave and go to Hawthorn.
To David Neitz, to Cameron Bruce, and to Adam Moosey, you're dead to me.
Really?
You're at Hawthorn.
Fine, Brucey went to go play for him, and Uze kind of drifted off, but David Neitz was kind of like the face of our MCC.
It was us, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Look, he'll be back. He'll be back. He's gone to learn his chops, and it's understandable.
Are you staying at Melbourne?
I'm not going anywhere.
Thank you.
I don't want to.
Your MC work at the Melbourne home games is top notch.
Well, I'm the marketing comms manager there now. Well, not manager, but I'm sort of like the ambassadorial role, and I deal closely with all our great people, including yourself today. Our sponsors and our wealthy benefit, people that give us money, just out of the love of the football club. I make sure that they get what they deserve. And being a past player and being a one-club player and being Robbo,
yeah.
I do that.
All over the Melbourne Football Club website. That's you.
Love it. How the days.
In 2008, that was kind of a bad year for you. You did a really bad injury. You tore your Achilles. Do you think you ever fully recovered your jumping ability?
Yes, I do. I jumped off my other foot anyway, but my first game back was against Matty Scarlett, and that's a baptism of a rebaptism of fire. My first game was on John Worsfold, and if you know Aussie rules football, he was a killer, a brute. Don't want to mess with him.
He's pretty small, isn't he?
He's not tall at all, but he played the game hard, and he was strong and from the old school, back when football was football.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic.
Exactly. I remember my first game over at the Wacker, running out in the ground, starting off on the ground, watching the West Coast defenders come down, big Glenn Jakovic, 6'7", McIntosh, who else was on there? McKenna, great players, and Worsfold. And I'm like, please don't be Worsfold. Please don't be Worsfold. And he walks straight up to me, and the arm bar that nearly knocks all the wind out of me. And I'm like, this is an honour, but... And I'm walking around, and he's treading on the back of my feet as I walk, giving me the flat tyre thing. My boots are coming off, and I'm like, please stop. Because I was just a kid, But I got a couple of marks and a couple of shots on goal. I think my second kick or third kick was a goal. First shot on goal. First kick was a point. So I joined that.
Oh, you could have joined that club.
Yeah, I'm in my own.
Where was the kick from? Do you remember?
It was from exactly on 50. And I remember it was all unusual because Todd Viney hit me laces out on the chest. I mean, that never happened ever. He hit me on the chest. I went back and it faded with that Western Australian because it was torrential rain before the game. So it was an ordinary night, but look, I had a couple of touches. And so we're talking about Matty Scarlett and after the Achilles. I remember Scarlo saying to me, geez, You know, it doesn't even seem like you hurt at all after I'd taken a few marks and kicked a couple of goals in that game back. And that was really nice because I really respect Matty Scarlett a lot, a hell of a lot. I respect all the guys I played on because they all came through the same system. And for Matty Scarlett, you know, for all intents and purposes, you know, you have your opinions on people. A lot of people had their opinions on me and what I was like. But Matty Scarlett is an absolute champion footballer, probably the fullback of this new century. And I got to play on him and a lot like him, and I'll always have the utmost respect for that guy. You know, even though he wore the blue and white hoops, you know, I'd go into battle for him because, you know, we're one and the same. So that's the kind of respect. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is I had that kind of respect for anyone that I played on, no matter where they're from. So that was nice to hear that from him. The problem with me coming back, I came back round 5 that year, kicked 20 goals by round 13, 14. So in 10 games I'd kicked...
Don't pump yourself up too much, Robbo.
Yeah, I'm going to, and it's not going to stop. I kicked my 20 goals, so I was averaging my 2 goals is my point, which is what I'd averaged my career. Same sort of marks. Maybe my defensive game was gone.
Couldn't run that much.
No, and the game had changed into this defensive game. So, of course, you know, I was probably shown the door because of that. But at the age of 30, I felt like I was really... coming into my own in terms of the mental game and understanding football and knowing where to run, and I could have probably lasted in a really good side that was threatening to win a premiership.
That was the start of the whole whitewash AFL of the youth policy. That term, youth policy, just washed through the AFL.
It was bad timing because the GWS were coming in a couple of years. Gold Coast were coming in the next year. So it was just an absolute grab for cash of young kids because those two teams were just going to be taking the top 20 picks every year. So no kids were going to be left. So everyone wanted kids and they got rid of their old players. So I was part of that as well. So was Adam Uze. So was Andrew Leoncelli. So was Jeff White. So was Cameron Bruce. So was James McDonald. So we can be dirty as Melbourne Football Club supporters and go, why did they do that? But it really was not all of it, but a part of it. And
a spur of the moment move.
It was one of those things that had to be done because of the situation in the AFL at the time. There was these 2 new teams coming in. So, like I said, I'm not dirty. I had a great time.
I'm hoping you call this question as well a really good question because it's pretty loaded. Since 2006, the club has been, obviously, as you know, through the wars. We've had something like 7 different coaches. We've been investigated for tanking. We've tragically lost a few past legends as well, and we've also had a huge overhaul of players. Now, the term culture gets thrown around in the media a lot. How is culture in a club created, and how quickly can it change?
Yeah, another good question.
Because that's a term that gets thrown around a lot.
It does.
And maybe most people outside of a football club can't really put a pin into what culture actually is.
Yeah. Look, successful businesses everywhere, anywhere around the world, get their culture right. It's a culture of people. To define it and put it into one little wrapped up, you know, gift with a bow on top is it's a group of people all pulling in the right direction because they want to. Not because they have to, not because they're paid to, because they want to. You've got to find out about your people and try to find out what makes them tick so that they will want to work for you. Because, you know, businesses, you know, someone owns the business. Not everyone's getting the benefit of the spreadsheet at the end of the year being in the black. You know, they're just getting their salary. So how do you make them want to work well for this business? And that's the challenge. Now, Paul Roos is obviously known for his ability to create a culture. He did that with the Sydney Swans, the Bloods culture that we all hear about now. It was a buzzword, and it still is a buzzword because of that. What he was able to do with the old South Melbourne team is, you know, end that 70-year premiership drought, win a premiership with them because he created a culture of players wanting.
Is it a thing one person can create?
Yes, it can be. It can be. You have to have this all-inspiring leader, someone that makes you want to do it. And if you're not that person, find someone that will be that person and bring them into the organisation. Just keep finding ways. I think what Paul Roos did with Sydney is to understand young kids now. Footballers these days are not like they used to be 20, 30 years ago, where it was run up that sand dune, and if you don't do it, you're an F&C, you know, that sort of thing. You know, get down and give me 20, get down and give me 100, and spew, can't have a drink. That's not how young players respond anymore, because it's a different generation. Like it or lump it, that's the way it is. You have to nurture these kids and find the best way to nurture these kids through. Paul Roos was able to do that with his group, and he's doing it again with the Melbourne Football Club. I've never seen such a more inspired group of young men, the way they're going about it at the moment with their pre-season down at Melbourne. It's phenomenal. They just want to do it for him. And I reckon those people are rare. You know, you see them throughout history, the great leaders, the great names. You know, you hear about it a lot in America, you know, Malcolm X and the Reverend
Martin Luther King.
Yeah. You know, these sorts of people and Nelson Mandela over in Africa.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, they are 1 in a billion, you know, that come from nowhere, and people are just like, I don't know what it is. They're hypnotised by these people. They just want to do it for them. I don't think there's any science around it. It's completely biological. It's completely, you get around them and you smell it and you want to do it. Mm-hmm. Paul Roos has definitely got something like that. Gary Lyon was like that as a captain of a football club for me as a player, and David Neitz as well. Neil Danaher certainly had something to do with that as well for me. So, you know, you're not going to go out there and mimic Martin Luther King and give great sermons and great speeches and get people to follow. But you have to use what you got. You have to study, and you have to understand people. And maybe that's the thing. You know, maybe that's the thing about these great leaders, is that they understand their fellow man better than anyone else does. They understand what the next person wants. And, you know, that's very philosophical on a Sunday afternoon.
That's all right, man.
Are you one of those blokes, Robbo?
I have been known to be philosophical.
That's the way to be, man.
Yeah, that's...
How has the culture changed from your perspective as a player and now as a club development manager?
At the Melbourne Football Club? It's hard to say.
Two different angles.
Yeah, it's hard to say what the football group's like now. I can tell you that I see the guys and I know that they want to work and I know they want to do it. But the proof will be in the pudding. You know, as a Melbourne supporter over the last 5 years, for me to sit here and say, look out, we're going to be great. Yeah, I've heard this before, Robbo. You've been speaking this.
The last 3-4 years they've been saying 5 years.
You know, and it just never comes. So... But, you know, the proof will be in the pudding. You just have to wait and see. In terms of what the business does, I want to make mention of for all the Melbourne supporters out there, and you know what, all the football followers out there, because you're all part of the same thing, and you all want the same thing for your own club. You want your team to do well. Whether you're a Saints supporter out there, and there'll be a lot of Saints supporters in this area, whether you're a Footscray supporter, Western Bulldog supporter, you need your organisation top to toe to be great. And a CEO is a very important person in all of that. Peter Jackson came from Essendon a few years back, long before they had all their problems. Let's not go into that.
We've had our problems as well, so we can't hang stuff on them.
No, we're not pious at all. So you need a great person at the top as well, and the CEO is that. And Peter Jackson is just, I mean, he's one of those guys that he's not a people's person. He's not one of those guys to sit in front of you and make you feel good about yourself, but just by doing what he does, he makes you want to do stuff. He's fantastic. He's just great. I love him. I think he's fantastic for a football club. He's got the right demeanour. He knows the system inside and out, and what he's been able to do for the Melbourne Football Club over the last 3 years since he's been here, and then to sign up for another year or two, has just been... I mean, I think the reason why we're doing okay now and we've got Paul Roos, it's got everything to do with Peter Jackson. A story, I'll tell you. Peter Jackson came down to the football club on the back of us wanting him. The board, Don McClarty at the time, realised we need someone to come in and fix this football club up, and Peter Jackson's hitting a bit. But Peter's at retirement age and he's ready to go back to his farm. I don't know how they did it, but they got Peter. The AFL influence. We used what we could. We got him, and he fully committed to the football club. Peter goes, right, now we need more good people to come to our football club. And the good people will bring good people. He identified that, Paul Roos.
Were you under threat?
No, exactly. Well, I felt like, I've got to impress this guy or I'm out, you know, because there was a lot of changes. But he identified Paul Roos as the guy. Now, remember all of this Paul Roos stuff, trying to get him to get involved, and he was on the couch. I categorically don't want to coach. I just want to get into the media. Peter Jackson said, all right, we'll see. Because money's not going to do it. Money's not going to get him. He's got enough. You know, he'd probably get a great clip from playing, being a coach and then working in the media. So he doesn't need money. But what he knew was Paul Roos is a coach of young men and a leader of young men, and that's what inspires him. That's what gets him. So he gets the leadership. The young men at the Melbourne Football Club that you and I know that have cried walking off the MCG as they're spat on and booed at. He gets them in the room and he says, listen, Roosie, I know you don't want to coach. It's fine. I'm
But look at these faces.
Yeah, I'm putting two together here. This is probably, I wasn't there, so I don't know what was said. But this is what I reckon was said. He said, Roosie, listen, I know you don't want to coach the team, and that's fine. You know, respect that. But come down and just talk to these young men because they've been bashed from pillar to post and they need some inspiring. Can you help me? And he calls Roosie, no worries, Peter, I'm going to come down and help you out.
Were they close, Roosie and Peter Jackson?
I think so, just through that mutual respect of being in the AFL in the same organisation. Yeah. So he gets the leadership group in the room and he goes, Roosie, leadership group, Roosie.
Average age of about 22 and a half.
Yes, yes, thank you. The captain of the time, I think he's 20, 21, Trengove and Grimes. And he says, now listen, boys, tell Roosie what it's been like. And they sit there and they bleed to him. It's been horrible. Terrible.
I can't afford my cough syrup.
Yeah. Exactly.
Seen it on The Simpsons all the time.
Yeah, exactly. All of that. And then Roosie's just sitting there shocked by what he's heard. You know, he's like, oh my God, this poor young man, they're destroyed. So, anyway, thank you very much for coming, Roosie. We really appreciate that. Roosie's driving home and he rings PJ, says, all right, I'll take the job.
I mean, on the drive home.
I talk about profiling, knowing a man, knowing that he's going to want to fix this because, you know, he feels so bad for these young kids. Well played, Peter Jackson. Now, I don't know whether that was exactly how it happened, but I think that was probably how it went down. And that's pretty damn good, I think. So, we get him.
I'm happy to stick to that story.
Yeah, let's go with it. And what is the truth after that is Paul Roos gets Brett Allison. He gets Ben Matthews from Sydney. They've been part of that. Daniel McPherson been part of that really good, great culture and premiership culture. He gets them in. Brad Miller comes back to the football club. Great to get a past player to come back to our football club. That inspires our supporter group. We got Jade Rawlings, who's already in there. He's a fantastic coach. Brendan McCartney comes on board. Simon Goodwin comes to the Melbourne Football Club. He played 300-plus games for the Adelaide Football Club. He's a favourite son over there. He could walk on water.
Look at Nita.
Yeah, I know. We could have got Nita, but I don't think he really wants to be a senior coach.
Were you ever asked to coach?
No. Simon Goodwin could have gone over to Adelaide and coached them because they asked him, but he goes, no, I'm going to coach Melbourne, this team that hasn't won a premiership since 1956, because I want to be a part of Paul Roos's regime. I want to be a part of this. How great's that? So you've got to be inspired by that as a Melbourne supporter, I think.
I mean, I was happy. Our team looked a little bit more organised last year, and hopefully it'll get a bit more organised this year.
Yes.
And Jesse Hogan, we've been pumping him up so much. I hope he's like a 100-foot boulder there that can match the likes of, you know, your Dustin Fletchers and your Luke McFarlane's.
It's interesting. Jack Watts is taller than Big Hogs, but there's something. I'm not saying they're better, who's better or who's worse.
The something is about 10 or 12 kilos, you know.
Yeah, he's just a brute, this Jesse Hogan, and different position player. I mean, Jack Watts is going to be an absolute gun for our football club.
But where?
But on the halfback flank, for sure, or on the wing, because his quarterback ability, he's picking his way through defences. It's just phenomenal. He's a cut above everyone on our team. I've watched it, I've seen it, I know that. And once we get good and we get the ball to him, we're going to be okay. He's going to be brilliant. Don't expect him to go splitting packs because that's not what he does. He played basketball, brilliant basketballer. You know, he is what he is, and he's going to be great. I'm glad we stuck with him. I'm glad he's with us, and I promise you, those people that have been bagging Jack Watts will be just on the other side of their faces soon because he's going to be something else.
I love Jack Watts. He was the first player ever drafted that I was older than, so I have a little connection to him.
Oh, there you go.
That's the creepy thing about it.
It's a little creepy.
Yeah, it is. But I'm finally older. Like, I'm older than the draftees.
Yeah.
Once you get past that age, you realise you're getting into a different age bracket.
Yes. But get on to Jesse Hogan. He wins the best and fairest for the Casey Scorpions at 17 years of age, comes from Western Australia, living in a different, town, and dominates. I watched him and I've seen him. I never really get excited about footballers the way I've got excited about him. I can't wait to see him play. I don't want to put too much pressure on him because, that's a lot of pressure. He's supposed to be the saviour of our football club. That's a lot of pressure. But he'll be all right. He's going to be good. Don't worry about that.
Now, last question in the football category. What does the club development manager do?
Yeah, exactly. That's good. That's really good. People are going, what the hell does he do?
There's a lot of roles that you can just make up and put 3 words together.
Exactly.
You have that.
Have that.
Here's some money. Go do what you like.
Well, what I feel the responsibility to do in my role is to bring people together. And that's a little easier because I played the game and people identify with me and people are like, oh, Robbo, you were great for us because you stuck with us. So I use that as much as I possibly can, just to get people to feel the same way. Stick with us as well. And it works. Sponsors, I deal with them on a day-to-day basis. What can I do to help? Members, if they ring up, they've got a problem. Do you want to talk to Russell Robertson? Yep, no worries, I'll talk to him. No problem.
Yeah.
No problem. I'm just like everyone else. Everyone that's playing within the AFL, within NRL, within the NFL, they're all just people. Mm-hmm. We're all just people, I live here in Blackrock. You bump into me in the street and I'm just like you, So, I'm happy to talk to those people. And if they get a little bit Disney's by it, a little bit, wow, I get to talk to Russell Robertson, then great. I'm going to use that. You've got to use what you got, You're using your amazing radio abilities to sit here on the radio.
You flatter me.
Got to look after you. So that's what I do. Yeah.
Cool. Do you have another song for us?
I'm going to sing
Just
a little bit of a song. I just want to play a little bit of Bruce Springsteen.
We've got 20 minutes left. I've still got a few questions to ask, and you want to touch on your iPhone app as well, or the smart device app.
The thing that's going to make me a billionaire. Yeah,
okay.
Right. I hope so. So I can afford the housing in Black Rock. I play this song everywhere I go. My favourite song is to play is probably the Australian National Anthem, which is everyone loves Daddy Cool, but I'm not going to play that right now because my favourite song is Hey little girl, is your daddy home? Did he go in the all alone night? Got a bad desire. Said, ooh, I'm on fire. So tell me now, baby, is it good to you? Can I do to you the things that I do? I can take you higher. Said, ooh, I'm on fire. Sometimes it's like someone took another baby a Jindo and cut a 6-inch valley through the middle of my soul. Ooh, I wake up with the sheets soaking wet and a freight train running through. Let my head only you can cool my desire. Say, ooh, I'm on fire. Say, ooh, I'm on fire. Say, ooh, I'm on fire. Hopefully the D's are on fire this year.
Oh, I hope we're absolutely burning.
I love playing that song, man. That is just the greatest.
You even put on the Bruce Springsteen accent.
Got to.
You go a couple of decibels deeper.
You got to, man. Seriously, I love The Boss, some of his songs, but the melody in that and the... I love the message, just love. It's great.
Yeah.
Too many songs out there at the moment that are not about what, you used to hear in the 50s and the 60s, The Beatles obviously sold that from the very, very start. Love me do. Simple message,
Yeah.
But I think we fuel a lot of hatred.
Yes.
That's around our planet at the moment with some of this. I hate you. You cheated on me. You're a dog. You're a liar. I know you're lying because you're talking.
Adele was one of the ones who started.
What's that all about?
Yeah.
You're sending a message to this next generation that is all about hatred.
Yep.
And I like the empowerment. That's great. That's why I love the 80s rap, man.
Yeah, that was real rap music.
It was real rap. And no, jokes aside, I feel sorry for rap artists these days because they don't want to sell that message that they're selling now, which is smacking up and hitting girls and guns and violence. Yeah. But it's what the big wigs are selling. And they won't employ them unless...
Exactly.
And who's the big boss at the top? It's the corporate white man with a big suit on. You know? So that's sad, man. Because,
spot on, man.
Because the 80s rap was all about stay in school, don't do drugs.
Yeah, it was.
It was great stuff. And I do a little bit of work in that area with the AFL now, which is respect and responsibility with women. And I've watched this in documentaries. And get on YouTube out there, people, if you can, and watch this documentary now. I've got to remember what it's called. But it was by an African-American, used to play NFL, didn't quite make it for injury reasons, and he went around because he loves his rap music, but he didn't like the message it was selling anymore, and he did this expose on it and how it disrespects women. Yeah. It's Beyond Beats and Rhymes, I think it's called.
Beyond Beats and Rhymes.
Check it out. It is so, so cool, and it gives you an idea of what music's about. Now, I don't get too dirty on the artists to sing about this bad stuff because I know they're only getting pushed by someone at the top.
Right.
Sell that message of love and happiness.
Yes.
Like Pharrell. Happy. I mean, come on. Does it get any more pure than that?
Yep.
That's why it should be the song of the decade. Because it sends the right message. We hate turning on the news at the moment. Well, we can do something about that just through our music, I think. Totally. So... that's my music take for you.
We've got 14 minutes, Robbo, so I want to get through these questions as quick as possible because I do want to mention your app as well. Yeah. You said that's one of the things we have to mention if you come in, so I don't want to make you disappointed because I'm going to see you every weekend anyway. I don't need the club development manager to hate me.
Oh, yeah, that's somebody you don't want against you as a club development manager.
So, where did your passion for music come from?
Through my old man, through my dad. He used to play a split-level keyboard with the foot pedals back in the day. You know, something that's straight out of a church, but he wasn't a church player. He was more of a jazz boogie kind of player. And he would play every night. My sister and I, we had a small house, so we were in the same room. And outside the door there, that's where the keys were kept. And he'd play all these great boogies at night. We were jumping up and down on our beds listening to the music. Every night we got this. And he's just phenomenal, Dad. He couldn't read music that well, but he just had feel and vibe. And I never really wanted to play piano because it was too hard for me, all that theory, you know. I saw a young fellow by the name of Nathan Cavalieri on Hey Hey It's Saturday a long time ago. This is, people of my vintage would know this. He's a young kid who I haven't seen much of since, but this phenomenal guitarist, and at the age of 13, he was just Tommy Emmanuel's protege. He was amazing. I just want to do that. I want to be a rock star with a guitar. And once I got drafted, I was given a guitar as a present by my mum and dad. It was just an ordinary little, $200 guitar or whatever, and they said, go over and in your downtime play that, because you can't carry a piano around. Because I knew how to play piano and read piano. Because of our old man, he sent me to piano lessons. And that's where it came from. I just picked it up, learned how to read the music in my downtime after training, nights sitting by myself, because I was over here for a lot of years by myself. My family's all interstate, so a lot of downtime. And that's where it came from. Now I play with, I play up on stage with Phil Sobrano, Kate Sobrano, all the great names, James Rain, Braithwaite, all those guys. I've been even around the same stages, playing before or after, and I just pinch myself sometimes and go, this is amazing. I play with a young guitarist at the moment. It's another one of Tommy Emmanuel's protege, and Brett Wood, who's just a phenomenal... This music thing, man, it's just so much more than you know, once you really get into it. And I've been lucky in my life. I can pick most things up. I've got some abilities. I can just pick most things up. I'm never really great at any one thing.
Here we go.
I'll give you that. But I'm not brilliant at a guitar. I'm not brilliant at singing. I'm not going to write the greatest song. Most things I can do. But
get to the butt, Robbo. Get to the butt.
No. Here's my butt. A young girl at work said to me the other day, I don't know what it is that I'm going to do. What is it that I'm good at? I can't find what that thing is. I said to her, have you given much a go? And she sort of, you got to give things a go. find out if you are. And if you're not any good at it, who gives two hoots? No one really cares. Like, no one cares that I just sang on the radio. They're just listening in their car right now going, oh, Robbo, you know, whatever. And they've forgotten about it now. It's time because they're cooking dinner for their kids or whatever. They've just forgotten. Who cares what people think? I'm all about tasting all the flavours of life while I'm here. So I've done some theatre. I've played football. I've done theatre. I've done the music thing. I've got my own family. I've got my little boy who's the passion of my life. What else have I done? So many things. I've danced ballet, the bloody closing ceremony of the Commonwealth Games on the MCG, man. I sang Grease Lightning with Olivia Newton-John at the MCG. I was Johnny Travolta. I swear to God. You know, it was one of the most amazing moments. I was up there with the leather jacket on and she's singing into my eyes, that beautiful woman. And I'm like, how did I get so lucky? Do you know why I got so lucky? Because I gave things a go. So that's the message. Just get out there and give it a go, you know, and you'll probably find that you're okay at this. And if you're not okay at it, at least you had a good time trying.
Yep.
Are you in line to do the grand final entertainment when we make the grand final?
I will do anything if we make it to the grand final. But no.
Okay. Was music like a stress release for you during your footy career?
Yes, most definitely.
Yes?
Oh, yeah, it was a wind down. You know, I come from the 90s era where, you know, the music was straight out of Seattle. It was all grunge and it was Pearl Jam and it was, you know, great bands like that, Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilots, Smashing Pumpkins.
Green Day.
Yeah. You know, I listen to it now and go, well, there's a real melancholy message there, but at the end of the day, it was pretty musical and pretty intense. So it wasn't a great, brilliant time for music. It was just another time. So I would sit there and I'd just try to, you know, play those riffs, you know, and that was what wild hours or lonely hours away for me.
You were once in a band called No Soup for You, which is obviously a Seinfeld reference. Do you remember? Did you make up this band? Was this your band?
David Neitz.
David Neitz.
He wanted to be a rock star too. Yeah.
No.
He loved Seinfeld, and he loved that episode. And he said, "Let's just call it No Soup for You." And we just did it because it was for a review or a footy club function. They're like, "Oh, can you guys just play some music for a laugh?" And that's what we did. So. Yeah.
And then in 2008, you had your Russell Robertson trio and released an album. Did you think about demographic or what you were going to play or anything like that, or just put a few of your great songs you loved and just play them in your own way?
Yeah. Here's another thing I did. You know, the CD. You walking into a CD shop and seeing yourself on the shelves, you know, or in iTunes or something. I mean, that's phenomenal.
I saw you on. I Shazammed it on iTunes, and you came up.
Yeah, it's terrible photo. But I was led by that, and that was fine because I did It Takes Two with Kate, which was a wonderful experience. You know, just the songstress herself. She'll blow your hair back when she sings. We're sitting in her lounge room one day, and she starts singing Blue Bayou. Right, I was playing the guitar, and she gets to that last line, you know, Lynn understand, Blue Bayou, with this really high pitched thing, and it just was one of those moments, goosebumps. I'm like, you are a phenomenon. So there's another lucky thing that I did. On the back of It Takes Two, Universal came to me and said, would you like to sing on an album? We want to just do some old rock classics. Here's the songs, go and sing them. So I did. They paid me to do it. As if I'm going to say no. You know, of course. CD out there. That's something to laugh about now, but I laugh along with people. So, yeah. Well, where's your CD? Did you do it?
Yeah, exactly. Do you have a CD yet, Ashley?
No, I just have two. I have 2 DVDs. That's about
No.
Wow. There you go. So mine's good for putting your coffee on now.
That's the CD for cleaning the stereo. No, it was good. On the album was called Higher. You covered a whole range of Australian and overseas rock songs. Who were some of your musical inspirations? Were they more Australian-based or overseas-based?
Oh, overseas. You know, like I said, the 80s and 90s rap, love. There's so musical, the 80s and 90s rap, you know. It was great melodies in there. You know, I got a little bit more hardcore over the journey, but I go back to that a lot, you know. Salt and Pepper, things like that, you know. I just love putting that stuff on and listening to it. You know, I get into the rock Creedence Clearwater Revival, man, that's where I sit screaming. So me singing like I did before, that's not my nice spot. I like to scream and rock it out, do a bit of Daddy Cool. But that's Southern rock, even though Creedence, the boys weren't from the South in the US, they certainly mastered the sound, and that's what I like, that sort of sound.
Okay, Robbo, 5.5 minutes left.
Yeah.
In your extra spare time, which you obviously have a lot of, you manage a successful smart device app called Team App. On first glance, it's like a more thought out Facebook group. There's a lot more things you can add to it. You can put private details in there. You can put meetings. You can put everything in there. It's got all these different capabilities. Can you talk us through the idea?
Yeah, thanks, man. Look, Team App was an idea we came up with as coaches, mate of mine. So it's really hard.
Simon O'Donnell, he's a horse racing identity, yeah?
And he came in on board. We were sitting around having a cafe, having a coffee. Think about my words for a minute. You're really tying me out. It's Sunday. Anyway.
You'll remember me when I come say hi to you.
Exactly. And, talking to your players at a community-based club or at a community level is really hard. You have to ring every single player. They don't answer. You're going to play this weekend. You're going to train tonight. That sort of stuff. Bringing your team in under one banner, under one roof is really, really quite hard. People are using Facebook to talk to their teams. That's not secure. People don't get back to you. So how do we create something that gives you pride of your team? Now, everyone's proud of their team. Everyone loves their team. So we come up with the idea of Team App, right? What it's all about really is push notifications, being able to send out instant messages to your network. Now, you could be a football team, netball team, tennis team, it could be a bridge club, it could be a book club, it doesn't matter what it is. You create your app for free within Team App, and then you save it's so easy to make. You go to teamapp.com, create your app, within 5 minutes you've created an app that is so savvy, it's techie, it's not clunky at all, because we were really keen to make something that was good, because everyone understands what's good in apps these days. They don't want anything that's messy and clunky. So we spent years developing this thing and a lot of money. Put my life and soul into this thing. The app is free. Costs you nothing. It would cost you $200,000 to build an app. This costs you nothing. You're silly if you don't do this, because you create it for free. The ability and the opportunities for you to commercialise your app are huge. You can put your own sponsors within your app. Player profiles. Sponsors can put deals in there in your... It's all your app. We can't touch it. We don't do anything to it, but we always upgrade and update the app so that you're part of that as well. There's so many things you can do with it. I can't sit here and we haven't got long enough to talk about it, but just in a nutshell, teamapp.com, create the app within 5 minutes, then download Team App to your smartphone, search within that app. It's really easy to do. Search for the team that you created, it'll come up, bang, and then it says, do you want to save it to your phone? And then smack, it's onto your phone, your own app. Then you invite, someone has to run the app basically. You invite all your people into it with your database of emails, find your people's emails, put them all into it. They download the app, and then it's all about uploading photos, chat rooms. The player profile thing is going to be awesome. That's just a new feature, like where you can, like if you had an app for this radio station, right? You two, your heads, your little player profile, what you're good at. Sponsor me if you want to. People can get into your app and sponsor you. But there's one other thing I want to mention before I finish up on Team App. It is private, so not. If you're playing against, say, the Sharks down here in Beaumaris, you don't want any other MO club seeing what's going on in the confines of your football club, because you have sensitive information. So when somebody downloads your app, they have to request an access level. You've set up the access levels really easy when you've created the app. There's a player and coaches. The next level down could be supporters. So you say, well, I'm a supporter, and then you get approved as a supporter. But if you say player, then the person that's running it has to identify you and then allow you through. So you're just mad if you don't download this app. It's going off in the US. 25,000 teams, 26,000 teams, and that was a couple of weeks ago. So I hazard a guess it's more. We're getting something like 1,500 to 2,000 new users every single day. Texas is going off, man. It's absolutely killing it. And I'll tell you what, the sport's killing it. Calisthenics.
Calisthenics.
And cheerleading.
Really?
Yeah, I should go over there, I reckon, and check all that out.
You
Cheerleading, because it's huge over there in the US. They're flipping girls around, all that sort of stuff. That's going off in the US. So this has gone global, man. We're really excited. But the reason why I want to talk about it with you guys today is because in the south, down this area and further down southeast, teams there's heaps of teams. So I just want to let people know, check out the new updates. But more than that, if you aren't on Team App and you're a football team, cricket team, hockey team or in this area, create a team. Just try it out, and you could be making money for your own team. I tell you what, the opportunities in the future are going to be huge. So, can't wait to make $1 billion in this thing when I sell it, because I don't make any money out of it, guys. Hand on my heart, it's a free app. It costs nothing. So,
thank you very much, Russell Robertson, for coming in. We have 8 seconds left. Don't go to Hawthorn. I look forward to seeing you at the footy next year so many times. And good luck. And thank you so much for coming in, Ashley.
Always good talking about
coming
things.
In as well.
Always good talking about me.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, awesome, guys. Have a good Sunday, and see you in 2 weeks. This has been the Gogoodman Show. Bye.
Good fun, man. Good fun.